Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all very much for being out here on this beautiful fall day. I know we said we were going to be here for, announcements about our fire and emergency medical services, but the reason, I was just telling Paul, the reason why we're really here is to announce the return of our Washington football team to our RFK Stadium. So funny about that. It'd be great if they came back. Anyway, good morning. I want to thank you all for being here with us. I think you all know that we've made it a priority to try to ensure, if you go to our One City plan, you will see that we've made a priority of improving the quality of life for all district residents by ensuring that every one of our neighborhoods is as safe as they possibly can be. And of course, making sure that we have funding for equipment is a part, but just a part of that commitment. We also made the commitment to focus on improving workforce development for our folks who are in public safety in the District of Columbia, and frankly, doing as good a job as we possibly can to make those opportunities available to people who live in the District of Columbia who want to join the fire and emergency medical services. Within the past decade, and I'm sure many of you have noticed that, the focus of FEMS, the fire and emergency medical services, has shifted significantly in the direction of providing pre-hospital care to district residents and visitors who require urgent intervention. In fiscal year 2014 alone, the department responded to 180,000 calls for emergency assistance, and over 147,000 of those calls were for emergency medical services, which actually led to about almost 110,000 patient transports for medical services. In the first month of 2015, which of course would be October, the department responded to more than 16,300 calls for emergency assistance, and that is actually the largest number, the largest volume that we've had for any month in comparison to fiscal year 2014. And excuse me, undoubtedly, some of that is attributable to the growing population here in the District of Columbia, which we hope will continue to grow. In August of 2013, excuse me, got some water. Thank you. Isn't this impressive back here? In August of 2013, the department took some necessary steps to ensure that our ambulance fleet became more reliable and that more paramedics staffed those units to provide emergency medical care. In December of 2013, less than a year ago, we received 30 new ambulances that were put into service by the start of the year. Today, I'm pleased to announce that in addition to that, there are 3 new ambulances that have been put into service on top of those 30. These units were placed at Engine Company 27, the 3, were placed at Engine Company number 27 in Deanwood, 32 in Garfield Heights, and engine number 7 in Southwest Washington. Also, 6 new engine pumpers are scheduled to begin service after training is completed this month in the new apparatus. These units will be placed at the following locations: engine number 1, which is in the West End, on the other side of the city. Engine number 2 in Chinatown. Engine 10 in Trinidad. Engine 13 in Southwest. Engine 20 in Tenleytown. And engine 22 in Brightwood. We're also anticipating the arrival by next spring of 5 new ladder trucks to be joined with those that already are in service. Some of you may know that for fiscal years 15 and 16, my budgets set aside an additional $5 million in each of those years for the replacement of equipment. The additional funding will put the department's fleet in a position to have first-rate frontline units that are capable of responding to fire as well as emergency medical calls. Since October of 2011, obviously some 3 years ago now, more than 90 young people have graduated from the DCPS and public charter high schools who have graduated from our schools, our public education schools, have joined the Fire and Emergency Medical Services through the Cadet program. 2 cadet classes are serving as active firefighters, while another class of 27 cadets is expected to join them after graduation on this coming Friday, November 14th. A 4th class of 19 cadets is expected to graduate in the spring. Some people have thought this was a jobs program. I don't think so. I think it's an effort to make sure that we have the best and the brightest who are becoming a part of our fire and emergency medical services here in the District of Columbia. The Cadet program gives our young people a chance to protect and serve the city that they know best, that they have grown up in. Let me give you an example. Amir Johnson graduated with his fellow cadets in November of 2013, just about a year ago. In July 2014, about 3-4 months ago, Probationer Johnson aided in the rescue of a longtime Ward 7 resident, Ms. Nellie Jones, when he carried her to safety after a fire broke out in her home. I'm told it was only his second time responding to a fire. Probationer Johnson also grew up in the Northeast neighborhood where he saved Mrs. Jones. Now, isn't that that's a good story, isn't it? I'm sure our media will write about that immediately. I can see Mike DeBonis taking copious notes over there. I'm sorry? Did Mike DeBonis do it? Well, talk to him and ask him, Paul. Ask him. Okay, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We like a positive story every so often. We also need to give more people, young people, a chance to have this opportunity to serve, like Amir Johnson has chosen to do. We also have reached out, as some of you know, to returning military veterans. And I guess it's good timing because we just had Veterans Day yesterday. I don't know how many of you were involved in the concert on the mall yesterday, but what a great event that was. And there were a lot of people from the District of Columbia who were involved in that. Just as important as the hires that we've made through the Cadet program, we've hired some paramedics as well. It had been more than a decade, actually more than 10 years, since the district had hired paramedics, single-role paramedics, to serve in the department. On Friday, the Training Academy will graduate 3 more single-role paramedics to join the department's ranks. Since August of 2013, more than 20 paramedics have been hired by the department. Several of those paramedics have started training to become dual-role providers with the capability to serve as firefighters and dual role of firefighters and paramedics. Last month, that's our new helicopter that is a part of the last month, the department began 2 accelerated recruit classes to train about 20 firefighter paramedics to join the department's ranks by next spring. I think most people know that hiring paramedics is not an easy process because it can require up to 2 years of training in many instances. But we will continue to hire them and increase our staffing level. So again, we're here to announce 10 new pumper engines, 3 new ambulances, 27 new firefighters, and 3 more paramedics by the end of the year. Also, 20 new firefighter paramedics and 5 ladder trucks are on the way. Many of you know that Chief Jones joined us in the wake of Chief Ellaby's retirement in July, and we've been delighted to have him come and join us. He's got a good spirit, and he's a very experienced man. So I want to ask Chief Jones if he would come up and say a few words about the progress that we've made, especially over the last several months. Chief Jones.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Eugene Jones, Interim Fire Chief of the DC Fire EMS Department, and proud to be here. Very glad that we have our mayor here today. A lot of this would not occur if we didn't have a mayor who had vision for the city, who really cares about the Fire EMS Department. As you can see, just some of the things that the mayor has done. And because I haven't been here that long, I would like Chief Faust to come up and talk about the capital projects, because there are things that we can see, fire trucks running up and down the road, but firefighters also enjoy renovated fire stations as a result of the mayor's commitment to the fire service. I'm delighted to be here, the mayor giving me the opportunity to come in and serve the citizens here, and I'm appreciative. Thank you, Mayor, for that opportunity, and I'm sure all the new people here can also add their thanks for you giving us the opportunity to be here. So at this time, because we don't want the mayor to go away without extolling all of the great things he's done, I'd like Chief Faust to come up and talk about those things.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Mayor Gray. Deputy Mayor Quander, I believe the one of the best efforts that was put forth was partnering with DGS. I'd like to thank Director Hanlon. I see him in the back. Thank you very much. It was a long process, but it's proved to be a great partnership. We've had approximately 8 projects, large renovation projects, in the last 4 years. Engine 28 and 29 were the first 2 to come online. We've had the Engine 28's the Woodley Park. Engine 29 is Palisades. They were large total renovation projects that included widening of the doors for these larger apparatus you see behind us. Engine 16 is in design stage. Engine 27 is in design stage. Engine 1, Engine 13, Engine 22, they'll all be new firehouses. We haven't had a new firehouse since 1987. Engine 33 was the and Engine 12, 87 and 89. So it's a huge commitment. There'll be Engine 13 will be sharing quarters with a hotel above. So we've partnered with the developers. Engine 1 will have apartments above. So it's a new effort for firehouse and residential. Engine 22 will be a new firehouse that will be located at Georgia and Delafield. Georgia and Butternut, and that is going to be a brand new station. Engine 16 will be a renovation. Engine 27 is a renovation. The EVOC, we have an emergency vehicle operating course that is totally renovated, a new drill tower. So we have had a lot of accomplishments with dedication from Mayor Gray, Deputy Mayor Quander. I thank you very much. That's some huge commitments, a lot of capital expenditures.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Why don't you stay up here for questions?
Okay.
Come on back up, Chief. Paul, do you want to say something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Good morning. My name is Paul Quander, and I'm the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice, and thank you for coming out this morning. I wanted to talk just about a couple of things. The Mayor and the Chief mentioned the effort that we've been undertaking to bring additional paramedics into the city. But one of the areas that we have attained and achieved a lot of progress is working with the University of the District of Columbia Community College. We actually have our own in-house paramedic training program that will be fully functioning by the end of December. We have everything in place. We have 24 candidates from the fire department that are already enrolled, that have already taken pre-classes, so they are ready to go. And what this means is that now we can go to any and every middle school in the District of Columbia and talk to any 6th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader, 9th grader and say, here is a path for you for a career in government service. And you're looking at it right here. These 27 cadets that are going to graduate and be firefighters, the 19 that will be following behind them are prime examples, like Amir Johnson, of young DC students, homegrown, that can start at the earliest age to see if they follow a certain path, they can have a career, they can have a home, they can have the cars, they can have everything that this great city has to offer. And a lot of work has gone into that. I wanted to thank the leadership of the Fire and Emergency Medical Agency, all of the men and women who work so hard, but I also just have to take a moment and thank Mayor Gray for his vision that allowed us to be creative and to try to bring this on. Let's take it one step further. We see what it can do for those middle school students to see these cadets, but it doesn't stop at the Fire and Emergency Medical Services, the Metropolitan Police Department, their cadet program. As you look at the police functioning right now, not every service has to be performed by a patrol officer. Mobile crime analysis, those are jobs that are done by paraprofessionals. You don't necessarily need to be a police officer. There are other areas in DNA, in the sciences, the medical examiner, the Department of Corrections, all careers that our young people who live here, who go to our public schools, who go to our charter schools, can take advantage of through the vision and the leadership and the actual, here it is right now, we have accomplished it thanks to the mayor. Thank you all very much.
You know, some of the apparatus that you have in front of you, some of us actually saw it for the first time in a recent Saturday. We had some of the media there. Paul was there. Paul Wagner was with us, as Mike and Mark Seagraves was there as well, and down at the Training Academy. And what a great experience that was. I actually saw for the first time this, well, I call it the Lucas machine. It's I call it a mechanical, automated CPR machine that administers CPR. Maybe we could just demonstrate to folks how this works. Obviously, you have part of a mannequin here, and you think about the hands being applied to someone's chest and how CPR operates, but watch how this operates.
The machine is doing 30 compressions. Hi, thank you. The Lucas machine is doing 30 compressions. Once the 30 compressions are stopped, then we give 2 ventilations. Along with the amber bag, we have the rescue pod, which will assist the patients with the breathing, and it helps with the circulate the blood in the system. Just creating a vacuum, so that circulation can go ahead and circulate through the brain and through the heart. And if you look at it, pretty easy to manage this machine. Give the 30 compression, give you hands all along, so you can be able to work with other things with the patient. Just to start an IV, give medications to the patients. And this Lucas is carried with the supervisors. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to carry in all our units, the engine companies, the medic units, and the ambulance.
Why don't you go ahead and explain the apparatus next to it as well, which is obviously related to it.
Yes, this is the rescue pod. Yes, please. Yes, this is the rescue pod. And the rescue pod goes at the end of the amber bag. And what it does is just, when the 30 compressions are done, we give the 2 breaths. And this rescue pod helps create a vacuum in the chest. And that vacuum helps circulate the blood through the brain, through the heart, and through the body, along with the compressions from the Lucas machine. This rescue pod is carried out on all the units. So it's a pretty easy to use piece of equipment, and the Lucas is pretty easy to use. And it's very light to carry. You know, you can carry it on your back, you can carry it with your hands, can carry in every unit.
How much have you all used the Lucas machine since we've had it?
In every single cardiac arrest here in the district, as long as we have a supervisor on the scene. And so far we have 100% survivability rate with this Lucas machine. I know of 2 at Washington Hospital Center in the last, I believe, last couple months.
Okay. And it's calibrated for 30 compressions?
It's calibrated for 30 compressions.
Uh-huh.
Then we give the 2 ventilations, and also it can go continuously. Instead of the 30 to 2, I mean, if you get tired, we can go ahead and continue if you need to continue compressions
Right.
with the patient.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy to use machine.
Okay. Why don't we open it up for questions that or comments that you all, media, may have?
How much does that machine cost?
$8,000, Tom. I think pretty expensive given the potential life-saving benefit that it has. Paul?
Almost 2 years ago, we pointed out that the city had fallen way behind in purchasing this apparatus, even though there was money in the budget. Can you explain why it took so long to get here to this point?
Let me ask Deputy Mayor Quander to come up. Some of this apparatus actually takes a while to get it done. I'm not sure we were happy with the delay either, Paul, but let me ask Deputy Mayor Quander to speak to that as well.
Paul, as you can imagine, the every piece of apparatus that you see here, the engines and even the ambulances, is basically custom made. And so they're unique pieces of equipment that have to meet certain specifications. So it takes a while to build, takes a while to procure, and even once they're received here in the district, there's certain things that we have to do to make sure that they're safe to operate, they meet our standards and things of that nature. So it takes a while just to have a piece of apparatus like this. It's not like going down to your normal store and buying an automobile off of a lot. This is custom. We have to make sure that the electronics are correct. We have to make sure that the radio communications are correct. We have to make sure that there are a number of different factors that come into play. The main thing is that we have the formula down now, and we didn't have that in place. So now we are in a regular schedule, and so the manufacturers know what we want. Procurement is geared up now. That's why when the mayor mentioned the apparatus that we have in place now, the 5 trucks that will be coming in, and the other apparatus is on a regular schedule. So there should be consistency now as we continue to improve, and citizens will see the increase in the bright new fire apparatus with the markings already on them from Brightwood and Tinleytown and Riverfront and right on down the line, Chinatown and West End.
If I could follow up, the city right now does not have any reserve ladder trucks, and there's a number that are out of service, and some parts of the city are not covered by ladder trucks. What do you want to say to the citizens about how the city is handling this right now, how the fire department is handling those sections of the city that don't have coverage of a ladder truck?
Every part of the city has coverage. We can cover any fire, any location. We have a plan that's in place. We have been operating with that plan successfully. If we need to get to a fire, we will get to the fire with the coverage that we have. We have partnerships. The Naval District of Washington has joined forces with us. Our mutual aid partners, which we have not needed to call. So please rest assured, if there's a fire, not only will these apparatus behind us be there, but the necessary ladder trucks will be there as well. No questions asked.
You know, I want to underscore something that Deputy Mayor Quander said, and that is we have gotten to a point now where we think this process is regularized. When we got here, the condition of some of our fire stations was horrid. We've gotten that process established now. The Palisades, the Cleveland Park, they're both finished. I'm sure you all have seen those, and the others that Chief Faust talked about will be over the next, several years completed themselves. Also, the ambulances, we actually started the process of ordering those ambulances, I think it was in the spring of 2013, and we started receiving them in August of last year and completed receipt of all those ambulances in December of last year. So we brought on board 30 new ambulances. So we have substantially upgraded where we are with virtually all the equipment, and frankly overcome a number of years of disinvestment in this equipment. And we hope, given the capital budgets we have now through 15 and 16 and going forward, they have projected out the needs, Paul, and if the capital budgets are followed, we shouldn't have this kind of situation again. Yes.
Can you talk at all about, as we're buying new equipment, obviously then we have more in reserve. So is there a prime number that we're trying to keep in terms of reserve units, or have a lot of those older units have been sold and disposed of, or kind of what are we going to have more units kind of there and available for if we need them, for if we start having more problems with all the addition of these
Let
new
me
ones?
ask again, Deputy Mayor Quander, but I think we got both. There's some units that just have been taken out of service and won't return to service because of the disrepair. And I assume we are also using parts, for existing equipment from some of those units that won't be put back in service as they have been before. And then some of them are going into reserve, and you can probably talk about that in some detail, Paul.
One of the things that we did when we started to make this transformation is we moved to a civilian-based lead apparatus division, and Mr. Dulling is here, who is responsible for fleet and the apparatus division. But what we have done is we've identified our core units, and these are the international units here. They're heavier, they're sturdier, they can withstand the urban environment. We are phasing out the Ford ambulances that we have used in the past. So we want to move them out of our fleet. We want to make sure that we follow the Southwest model. We want one ambulance, we want one engine, we want one truck, so that we can standardize our parts, our repair cycles, the preventative maintenance, all of the parts, things of that nature, so that we can become a much more efficient operation. So we standardized it, but there's been a lot of progress. We still have work to do. We're not there yet, but we're on the road to getting there. And the refurbishing of the ambulances. Now, the number is one that we'll get to once we get that core group in. But I get a report every day. The chief gets a report of the number of ambulances, engines, and trucks. And so we monitor it every day to see where we are. And we have a good number of ambulances. I think it's like 58 or 59 today. And our core number, 39, plus several above that we use. 44. Okay.
Hold on one second, Tom. I wanted to mention one other thing. I want to ask Chief Jones and Chief Faust to speak to the work that's going on at the Training Academy. There's work going on to make it an even better place where we prepare people for work in firefighting or emergency medical services. So if you all could talk a little bit about that, that would add to the presentation.
Recently completed a Class A burn building. That is to send recruits through actual Class A fire training, where they go in and experience live burns. We are also working on a vehicle operating course that we should have completed. I believe we're doing a ribbon cutting in December. That will provide the training for the apparatus you see behind us, plus the ambulances. Any driver for the District of Columbia Fire Department is required to perform a level of driving skills, and this new course will allow those skills to be tested and tested. The would be remiss not to discuss any of the green initiatives. Mayor Gray was very progressive with green initiatives. We have a lot of firehouses now. We have 4 firehouses that have water harvesting projects. Water harvesting, we capture water and reuse it. We fill our pumpers behind us with the tanks of water, We use the water also to wash out the apparatus bays. So we have engine 3, engine 25, engine 28, and engine 29 that are all using that new type of system of capturing water and reusing. We have green roofs. We're very progressive with green roofs. We have 5 stations with green roofs now. I think we have somewhere around 38,000 square feet of green roofs. Also that provides credits back to the city and in savings of the water. So that also helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom?
Given all that you've done in the last couple, given all that you've done in the last couple of years to get the fire department into the modern age, what remains to be done for the incoming mayor-elect Muriel Bowser when you deal with the transition team? What will you tell her that needs to be done right after January starts?
As far as the fire department is concerned, it's ready to go. I think, in terms of reviewing where we are, we'd obviously talk about some of the things that we've talked about here today. One of the things that I would underscore, Tom, is that we don't want to have a backslide. We don't want to go back to where we were, because there was a number of years of I say disinvestment that led to the situation that we were in. So my key point would be, here's where we are, Mayor Bowser, and here are the things that need to be done, especially maintaining the capital budget and continuing to invest the way we have in personnel. The cadet program was essentially moribund when we came in, and you heard that we have brought on board through training and brought on board in service now 90 cadets. And not only does that help to continue to infuse, FEMS with personnel, but it also creates more job opportunities for young people who are coming out of our schools in the city. I don't know that there's a lot I would focus on in terms of remedial work that's needed. The work that really is needed is to make sure that we maintain and continue to invest in the continuing development. What needs to be recognized, and I think people see it, you don't think of it in these terms necessarily, is that we are a growing population, adding 1,000 to 1,200 people a month. And with that will become increased demands for, public safety, emergency medical services, and that means equipment, and that especially means personnel, and the recognition that to an increasing extent, the demand for FEMS services is around emergency medical services and less around fires. 80 to 85% of our calls now are for EMS rather than fires because of the success of prevention efforts and other interventions.
And if I could follow up, please, will you be recommending that your interim fire chief stay on, that the Mayor-elect Bowser consider him? And also, I'd like to hear from the chief. Would you be considered to stay on?
Yeah, I think he should. He's been a fire chief before. This is not his first time as fire chief. He was the fire chief in Prince George's County for 18 months, I think, Chief Jones. So I think it's obvious that he's done a good job with us, and I think it's up to him, of course. But if you ask me my opinion, I think he should be considered to continue. Sure.
Yes.
In a word, Mike.
What the incoming mayor has indicated. Oh, wait. All right. What the incoming mayor has indicated in her policy platform and her public statements is that she wants to recruit a fire chief with emergency medical experience. And I would want to ask Chief Jones and possibly Deputy Mayor Quander, can someone with a background in emergency medical services lead the fire and EMS department, or do you still, in your view, still need someone with a background in fire service to lead this department?
Well, it's not up to me, but I would say that this administration has brought on a medical director and will also have a deputy medical director. So the advancements that this administration, the investments that the mayor is talking about in this system, I think that people should have every confidence in the DC Fire EMS department that we're here to provide a quality service, and the brain trust that is being invested here now will be able to carry the fire department. I don't get into other people's doubts about the service. That's not my role. That's their role to doubt the service if they choose to. All the investments the mayor has made, I'm pretty confident that the D.C. Fire EMS Department can move forward and serve the needs of the citizens.
I would add, too, Mike, that, in addition to what Chief Jones said, and I support that heartily, is somebody who can lead people. We have a very substantial function in terms of fire and fire prevention, a very substantial function in EMS. For many years in this city, there's been a debate about whether we ought to have a third service or not. That was a debate that I didn't choose to get into because I thought what we needed was a really effective, integrated, program, recognizing that those functions have to be able to work effectively together. So I would hope that, Chief Jones or whomever is the chief for the future of the District of Columbia would be somebody who understands the importance of both of those key functions and would be able to manage the people in both of those areas. Any other questions on FMES? Otherwise, thank you all very much, Chief, and all the other leadership of the FMES and our cadets behind us. How about a big hand for them? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief. Absolutely. If you don't mind, I reiterate that every one of these young people is a graduate of one of our traditional public high schools or public charter schools in the District of Columbia. And isn't it nice to see the homegrown talent that's being developed here? Other questions? Will?
Sure. So the report on the DC United Stadium came out last week. It says the district's overpaying by something like $25 million. Muriel Bowser said she'd be interested in doing eminent domain if the Akridge deal falls through. What do you think are the prospects for getting this done before your term ends? And what do you think of this report?
Well, first of all, I'm obviously very hopeful that we get this done by the time we finish, Will. I'm going to ask C.A. Liu, City Administrator Liu, if he would come up. He's spent a lot of time on this issue, as you well know, and also with the report. We were excited about the benefits. I think it was $2.6 billion of economic benefit over 30-plus years of the report. Almost $110 million of net benefit to the District of Columbia as a result of the stadium. And, I didn't read every word of the report, but I read enough of it to know that when you look at and you compare it to the convention center or you compare it to the National Stadium, this issue is further along and further under control than either one of those two projects, both of which have proven to be immensely successful here in the city. So, Alan, you want to add to that?
Yeah. Yeah, we agreed with most of the findings from the consultant report, with the exception, I think, what you just mentioned about the cost. There's some, just fundamental differences. I think on the Reeve Center, the consultant felt that the rent that we pay to lease the building back for 3 years, maybe as short as 2 years, it should be counted as a like a value or something that it should be added to the cost, the value of the building. And to us, it's like if you sold your house and you decided you needed to stay for 6 more months, you're going to have to pay rent, for those 6 months. Now, granted, the rent that we're paying is really below market rent. And the other difference, I think, that was cited in the report was that we pay too much for the Buzzards Point site. And there, I think we agreed that we made a decision. Instead of going through eminent domain, we decided to pay more for two of the sites, and particularly the salvage yard and the Mark Ein property. And that's the delta. And we agree, that we paid, we paid more than what the appraised value was. So other than that, I think most of the numbers are fairly similar. Mayor mentioned the $2.6 billion. I think we're both both our consultants and their consultants and our consultants all believe that it's in the $2.5 billion range, and the differences and even the differences in terms of the way if there was any differences between the way we approach the valuation of these sites, I don't think the consultants disagreed with us in our approach.
Mentioned down that the delta is not completely covered by the city, almost half of it.
Yeah, so the mayor mentioned the Buzzards Point site. The city had paid more for the property, for those two properties that I mentioned. But the a part of that delta was covered by DC United, the organization, and the Ackridge real estate company. They covered about $2.5 million per property. $2.5 million each, $5 million for the two properties. So some of that overage or delta was covered by the private side.
Mr. Mayor, so there is this sentiment that's being voiced by several people on the council and your successor that this deal would be a lot easier to stomach if the Reeve Center weren't part of it. And I know that you've said up to this point that this is the deal on the table, but if what it takes to get this deal done by January 2nd is to take the Reeve Center out of the deal, are you willing to look at that? And is there a contingency option that you've explored or are exploring to do this deal without the Reeve Center?
We're willing to look at anything, Mike. I would caution people, though, that one of the tremendous economic benefits out of this is building a new, what now is the Reeve Center, building a new municipal center on Good Hope Road in Anacostia, and the impact that it will have on that area, that it will bring, 700 to 1,000 employees each day to that area of the city. It will certainly catalyze a number of the amenities that we had hoped for to be developed on the east end of the city anyway. So it isn't as simple as just saying, let's not do the Reeve Center part of the deal because there are some benefits that will be foregone as a result of the Reeve Center being taken out of it. Not the least of which, by the way, is additional uses for the Reeve Center. The Reeve Center has been around since, the mid-'80s. And there are those who make the argument that, which I think is correct, that it wasn't the best design in the world. It certainly did a lot for U Street in terms of bringing life and activity to the U Street area. But the idea, too, is to look at additional opportunities that may exist at 14th and U today when they didn't exist back in, the 1985-86 era when U Street was a great catalyst for development there.
Yeah. Keep in mind that the way both the consultants that work for the council as well as our consultants, the way we forecast this thing, the $2.5 billion of economic impact, that is a total composite of all three sites: the old Reeve Center, the new Reeve Center for Anacostia. So if we were to strip the old Reeve Center off the deal, we would also have to strip the new Reeve Center off because we don't have the agencies to relocate to Anacostia. So then the numbers, the $2.5 billion would substantially be reduced in terms of economic benefits. The $109 million or whatever that number was, that in terms of net cash and present value that we get from this deal, that would also pare down significantly. So then it would be straight. The number of thousands of jobs, I think both the consultant and we have forecast would come down significantly as well.
If you're at the table with these guys every day, do you think that the parties could get to a point in the next 2 months that this deal could happen without the Reef Center?
You're saying? I'm sorry. Can you?
You're at the table with all the parties here. Do you think that they'll get to a point where this deal could happen without the Reef Center in 2 months?
Yeah, I think that, let me just kind of rephrase this. I mean, we were asked, can we do the Reef Center, like auction it or do a procurement for the Reef Center? We didn't think that we can do that in the next 2 months. So that the experience that the city has, I think DemPed will attest to this, is 2-3 years. In some cases, I think the administration had started some projects almost nearly 4 years ago, and we haven't been able to get it consummated yet. So unless we come up with another way to do this, we were trying to avoid the debt cap. I think that was one of the criteria when we started this process. And at the time, when we started this process, there was actually no capacity, in the debt cap. So a lot of the things that we have done, the major infrastructure initiatives the mayor has embarked on over the last few years, as well as the soccer stadium, one of the criteria was to come up with alternate ways, to come up with the funding without hitting the debt cap ceiling.
Sorry, just to rephrase it a different way. There's no plan B on the table at this point, or is there a plan B that's being developed if the council says, listen, we want to keep DC United here, but we don't like the Reef Center deal?
Well, we're always looking at various alternatives to this, and whether they they actually have traction or not, that's another question at this point.
I think, too, Mike, what has to be considered are the investments that will have to be made in the Reeve Center if it continues as it is now. The Reeve Center is almost 30 years old. And, again, not to be redundant, but the design of the Reeve Center, I think, was didn't you write an article about that, Tom, back in the day?
I was there when they made the bricks for it.
Yeah, I saw something where it said you did an article, back in the 80s about the Reeve Center. It was a year late in being completed, I think, and there were a number of concerns about the construction from day one, the design of it, and those concerns continue today. So it isn't as if we're just walking away from the Reeve Center deal, because there's going to have to be major investments made in the Reeve Center if it continues to function as it is now. And that would have happened no matter what. Tom?
You joked about the skins plane here. You joked about the skins.
The who?
I said skins.
The who?
And what's the status of any private talks about that? Is it hooked onto the Olympics? Is it something that could possibly happen if the name is changed?
I've not been involved.
What are you going to tell the mayor-elect?
Yeah, I haven't been involved in any conversations in the recent past about the Washington football team moving back to Washington. I would love to see the team move back here, and I think this would be a perfect site for it over here to build a new stadium. So you got the I'm the amen chorus if you want to talk about bringing the team back to the city. But in all candor, there have been no discussions in which I've been involved in the last year to 18 months about building a new stadium. We'll go to Will, and then we'll come back to Mike. Is anybody? Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead, Andrew.
Mr. Mayor, you were at Concert for Valor last night. Would you like to see that return to the district on an annual basis, and would you make that case to organizers?
That's an interesting question, because I was talking with somebody about it last night and this morning as well. First of all, it was a fantastic event. And I appreciated the city being included to make a little presentation to welcome people and to talk about voting rights and what have you. But we also were the beneficiaries of absolutely fantastic and somewhat unusual weather. So we could be faced in the future with weather conditions very different than what we had last night. That notwithstanding, I think it should be an annual event. It brings a lot of people to the city. It's a great way to celebrate people who serve the military, in the District of Columbia and across the nation. And for us, you probably are aware that we just launched a couple days ago the groundbreaking for a new building to help get homeless veterans off the street. We've committed to end homelessness among veterans by the end of 2015, and it was a great way of marking the service that people have provided to our nation, and underscoring our own commitment here in the city to our veterans. So, the short answer is yes, I would like to see it continued, but I hope we are the beneficiaries of the same kind of weather we saw last night.
Absolutely.
So Muriel Bowser's starting her transition process. You went through this 4 years ago. What advice would you offer her, and which of your cabinet heads would you like to see stay on in the Bowser administration?
I'm not going to speculate about who stays on and who doesn't. I'd like to see everybody stay because they've been fantastic. They are people who've done a great job. We were earlier this morning over at the Carnegie Library with Sean Stokes and the Department of Human Resources, and celebrated the accomplishments of a number of people. The executive leadership program was finishing. In fact, our deputy chief of staff, Sheila Bunn, is a graduate of that program. She got her diploma, her certificate, her award this morning. The transition process, we've indicated we would be entirely cooperative with that. Alan is on the point, along with many of the rest of us. We've already transmitted a voluminous document detailing reports around the agencies in not only the executive branch, but in the independent agencies as well. And we conformed it to a format that they asked for, and that was one that was used in Chicago when Mayor Daley left and Mayor Emanuel came in. So we've been as cooperative as we can be. We will continue to be as cooperative as we can be. I even sat down with one of the co-chairs, Beverly Perry, for about an hour and a half one day, and spent time with her, just kind of going through the various nuts and bolts of the government. Mike, you get the last question.
We did soccer, we did football. Let's do basketball. There's been some reports that there have been some talks about from a certain TV station, not going to name which one, that there's been some discussions about a Wizards training facility. What is the status of that? What exactly has been talked about? And do you believe that it's a wise idea to have the Wizards come in, particularly to the site in Shaw, by Shaw Middle School?
I thought when you raised that, you were going to offer to take me on one-on-one, man. Can you handle it?
Anytime. You name the court, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, there's a throwdown if I ever heard one. Can somebody bring those portable baskets out? There's been discussion about it, Mike. I don't think that there are any solid plans on the table at this stage, but I think it would be a great idea to have a practice facility in the District of Columbia, and I frankly think that over time it'll pay for itself. You know, the Caps have their practice facility over in Virginia, and you can almost count on the fact that where the players practice, they will probably live nearby. I bet you we don't have one Washington football player who lives in the District of Columbia, because the practice facility is out near Dulles Airport in Ashburn. So, if you have the practice facility for the Wizards here in the District of Columbia, assuming that they maintain a residence here, first of all, I think they'll live in the city, and I think there'll be tremendous tax benefits for the city over time. So, while there has not been, a serious proposal put on the table, especially in terms of where, I would love to see such a facility develop, because I think it will have tremendous benefits for the city.
The practice was already in D.C. It's in the Verizon Center. So how can we make the case that there's going to be tax benefits? don't already exist, given that the fact that they already practice here?
Because I think that there's a likelihood that the ownership will move somewhere else with the practice facility. Look at what happened to the Caps. The Caps play in the Verizon Center as well, and the practice facility is in Boston, in Virginia.
Has Ted Leonsis indicated, or anybody else from the team indicated, that they're looking at options outside of the city, and if so,
I
where?
don't think he has to tell me that. I already see it. I see it with the Caps facility, and I think the same thing will happen with this. I mean, we are in a region that is very competitive, and I think that there are people who will look at this discussion that's going on and try to figure out a way how to attract the Wizards practice facility just as they did with the Caps. So I don't think we ought to lose that opportunity to have it here in the city. Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy this beautiful weather. And Mike DeBonis, I'll see you when you're ready, okay?